discretion is advised. Like, we'll leave it up to you, but you gotta know about this stuff before getting into this whole thing, you know? I mean, straight up, one guy gets his face bitten off by a raccoon, and we show it. Oh man, do we show it.
Your face on fire. Let's get higher. Gonna set your face on fire. Let's get higher.
Hey y'all, he's Cool.
And he's Kegs.
Welcome back, everybody. We're doing a couple goofballs talking about some serious stuff. Today we got the evolution of air combat tactics, because we thought you guys would enjoy that. And if you don't, tell us in the comments below. But in the meantime, Mr. Cool, would you care to start us off on this little adventure we're going on today?
Absolutely, bud. So you guys know the history of air combat is as old as aviation itself, starting with simple, close-range dogfights between biplanes and evolving into complex, technologically advanced drone warfare. This evolution reflects the broader range and changes in military tactics, technology, and the strategic goals of air forces around the world. The shift from traditional dogfighting to remotely piloted aircraft, or drones, underscores not only the technological advancements, but also new concepts in warfare, including precision strikes, stealth, and the role of artificial intelligence.
The origins of aerial combat are rooted all the way back in World War I, where airplanes first became part of military strategy. Early air combat consisted of reconnaissance and bombing missions. However, as aircraft technology improved, so did the use of fighter planes designated for combat from 1914 to 1918. So we started off with air-to-air combat, where initially pilots would engage in direct, often improvised confrontation using pistols or rifles from the seat of their plane. As machine guns were added to planes, the first true dogfights took place, with pilots using basic tactics of maneuvering in tight circles trying to position themselves behind their enemy.
Is there anything more redneck than shooting pistols from an airplane?
Right, we start off with the Wright brothers in the first flight, and then by World War I, it's like, I'm going to put a gun on it and shoot at Bobby next door.
The Wright brothers were like in the sky, and they're like, no, you're wrong, bitch. All right. But aircraft like the Sopwith Camel and the Fokker DR-1 became synonymous with dogfighting. These planes were lightweight, nimble, and designed for one-on-one engagements. Pilots developed intricate maneuvers, such as the Immelman turn and the split S, to gain positional advantage.
Talk about lightweight and nimble. God damn it, they were made out of paper and wood.
A lot of hopes and dreams sitting up there.
No kidding.
Along with the Beretta.
I got 50 cal rounds once they, getting zipped past my head.
It's hard.
I'm sitting here going, come on, baby, don't tear on me now.
Oh my god, dude! Like,
can you imagine the balls it would take to go up in one of them damn things? You got no heat, no, like, you're praying to some literal like maple trees, whatever they make the leather out of.
I do it for that goggle look, though, man, and the leather cap helmet.
Well, yeah, that's iconic, but then you gotta think, too, every bit of control you're throwing into this thing is not only unhydraulically aided, where you're just full muscle power the entire time.
Well, yeah, like the tactics of the era kind of thing, where it's like...
Yeah, exactly. The technology of the era. Think about that for a second. You're in this little, stop with camel or whatever, biplane, triplane, take your pick, and every bit of input going into that requires your full muscle power to do it. And then you have these extended engagement where these guys are going at it for a half an hour or an hour or until they run out of goddamn fuel and fall out of the sky, which was documented in a couple of World War I engagements. And how fatigued you would be.
Oh, absolutely, dude. So actually, early air combat emphasized raw flying skill. As we were talking about, like, early combat emphasized raw flying skill. Pilots often engaged in high-stakes, close-range dogfights, relying on their ability to outmaneuver their opponent rather than advanced weaponry or avionics. The concept of energy fighting, maintaining superior speed or altitude to gain an advantage, would later be redefined as aerial combat tactics, as aerial tactics evolved.
The golden age of dogfighting, which would be 1939 through 1945, World War II saw massive advancements in both aircraft design and combat tactics, marking the height of the dogfighting era. The introduction of faster, more powerful aircraft like Supermarine Spitfire, Messerschmitt Bf 109, and the F4U Corsair, one of my personal favorites, allowed for more dynamic and high-speed dogfights. Aircraft were equipped with better armament, including synchronized machine guns, cannons, and rockets.
Ooh. This is the era that I find the most iconic. And in this era, the fighter pilot was regarded as a heroic figure, where close combat remained a key part of air tactics. Pilots engaged in high-speed vertical maneuvers to outfly or outgun their opponents. Tactics such as the boom and zoom, attacking from altitude and speed, and the thatch weave, a defensive maneuver to protect against from head-on attacks. The latter became especially important as fighter formations fought in tandem to increase their effectiveness.
Large formations of bombers, often with fighter escorts, became a staple of World War II aerial combat. The development of radar followed for better detection of enemy aircraft, changing the nature of air combat by incorporating technology alongside pure flying skill. I feel like we missed a point here, bud.
We did.
And the point would be specifically on the P-47, where it was one of the first ones to come with a shit ton of armor.
Yeah.
There were, people, and they were built tough, and that was and they added more later on because people were like, well, let's the ones that made it home, let's add more armor there. And someone went, hey, hold on a minute, that doesn't make sense. These ones made it back. What if we add armor where the planes that make it back don't have it, and see if more make it back, because these are less armored areas?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then everyone kind of went, oh, light bulb. And we saw a drastic reduction in like pilot deaths and plane losses. And it was like, hey, somebody had a brain. Thank God for you.
Yeah, dude. Well, so even jumping that 20 years, right, in technology, I mean, going from basically balsa wood and fabric to what we were flying around in World War II, that's crazy to me. Always has been.
Right, and now we move on to our next bit, which is, the jet age, which would be what, the Cold War and beyond, 1947 to 90.
Absolutely.
And the technological advancements from 1947 to 1990. I would love if we could like resurrect a couple of the old pilots from World War One, World War II, and throw them at a couple of planes from the 90s, F-117 or, the F-16, F-15, and just be like, have at it, dude.
It'd be like a spaceship, bro.
They'd be sitting there going, what are all these fancy switches?
Yeah. What's that liquid thing in the TV there?
Why
Was there even TV there?
Why does it make so much noise?
Yeah, what's that picture box? Yeah.
What are G-forces?
Oh, yeah. Well, and I've always wondered what roughly the max G-force, like the World War I guys were feeling. Because I'm sure that they had some pretty complex G-forces. I just see it.
Well, yeah, I'm sure they had some, but I don't see it being anywhere near as insane as like a F-22 performing backflips.
Oh,
actually, supposedly the backflip maneuver that the 22 can do is not that high G. Because there's not a lot of speed involved with it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's really not. By the time it's probably just the initial pull up or whatever. Yeah, it'd be interesting if you guys are pilots out there. Let us know in the comments. But yeah, we're just talking, boys. So anyway, so what happened? What happened with between these periods?
Well, after World War II, the advent of jet engines revolutionized air combat. The rise of supersonic speeds and missile technology shifted tactics away from classic dogfighting. Unless you were, we're still in World War II, but ME-163 Comet praying it didn't blow up. Well, ME-262 as well.
Yeah,
praying it didn't blow up on the runway when you went to go fire it up, or when like the ME-163 was just like a cradle on top of an axle, and the landing gear, for lack of a better term, I guess we could rather call it a dolly, falls away once you achieve takeoff. You go up for like 5 minutes. 8 minutes, whatever their fuel supply was, do a couple of hazing runs on these guys, and then float back down to Earth and crash land.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy? When I was looking up statistics for another video, the ME-262 is like the top, like it's like in third place for the most confirmed kills, or something like that. It's crazy.
It devastated the
Yeah.
Allies when it first showed up, the ones that could fly.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Me-262 was also like second ever for, plane failures or something like that, where most of them that were made either got destroyed or detonated on the runway on takeoff. There was if it would have actually like worked reliably, we may have seen a much different picture in the air.
So maybe this is for the listeners, but I've often wondered about maybe we should do something on the jet engine in general, that they invented it, basically simultaneous invention, and I always wanted to talk about that with you, so maybe on another one of these.
All right, yeah. Hey guys, our comment section is open. You can utilize it a lot more if you want to. Tell us what you think about that idea. And I guess Breezy, we should probably continue on. So you want to lead us into our next talking point?
Absolutely, dude. So supersonic flight and missiles, right? Aircraft like the F-86 Sabre and the MiG-15 introduced jets that could break the sound barrier, fundamentally changing the nature of air combat. The role of the fighter pilot began to shift from pure dogfighting to using guided missiles and radar to detect and target enemies from a distance.
P-38 Lightning. No hydraulic assist, still were World War II, twin-engine plane. In a dive, would break the sound barrier. Could not pull out of it 9 times out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and that was due. We didn't understand, how the airflow would work on the elevators, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. So, that plane had so much power for its time as well. It was known to be like an amazing zoom climber.
A death
yeah,
trap.
I forgot to add that in. That our first time breaking the sound barrier in a plane was World War II era.
Yeah, and honestly, what was the Sabres got? They broke it in a dive, right? We know that there's certain things. So
yeah,
like
the 86 and the 15 both would. Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is I think why they consider the Bell X-1 the first supersonic flight is simply because it was on purpose and on a lateral plane. It was a powered supersonic fight.
Well, yeah, it was also a real rough ride for old Charles E. Yeager.
Oh, Mr. Chuck.
Yeah, I did a report on him when I was in like grade school, and I remember reading something that said that he was what's the word I want? He was briefly worried that the plane was going to rattle itself apart upon reaching the sound barrier.
Yeah,
as it punched through, I guess it was a bit of a rough ride for that transition. But afterwards, he noted that it was the smoothest flying he'd ever had.
Well, could you imagine, being in a straight winged aircraft and punching through the sound barrier with a rocket? I mean, literally, I'm good, bro.
Yeah, just like I'm gonna full send these 4 rockets at like 6,000 pounds of thrust each and see what happens.
Yeah, I'm good on that, bro. Like, I'm good on that.
Yes, Korean War, which was not a good time for anyone, really. This conflict saw the first large-scale usage of jet fighters in combat, with dogfights between American F-86 Sabres and Soviet-made MiG-15s. Although there were still some traditional dogfights, missile engagements became much more common. The AIM-9 Sidewinder missile, developed in the 50s, was a significant breakthrough in air-to-air combat, which is insane that we still run AIM-9s on certain things. I mean, obviously we have better technology in them, but it's what, 2025 now?
Absolutely.
75 freaking years later.
Well, I mean, and we were using them. So, like, the use of air-to-air missiles, such as the AIM-7 Sparrow, became more widespread, and there was still a reliance on visual identification at the time, especially during the Vietnam era. So, close-range dogfighting still was happening, especially in the dense jungles and cluttered airspace. The F-4 Phantom was our primary fighter, right? But its radar and missile systems were often more relied upon than the pilot's skill in dogfighting. So I know we all kind of know this about, we've all seen Top Gun. I'm sure if you're tuning into us. What was our ratio? Our ratio had fell pretty bad. It was almost to even, right? It was like a 1-to-1 ratio at some point.
Yeah, it was getting down there for a while with like the original Phantom. The Phantom 2 helped out a little bit.
Yeah,
Because they redid some things with like they put the gun back on it, but it was
the
an
gun
extra
pod.
pod. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was loved and hated.
Yeah, that was
But
a
you
big
got to
deal.
think too. It's a goddamn F4, man. It's a flying refrigerator. It's like the
Mhm.
least aerodynamic plane ever created in the history of mankind.
Yeah, so like the tail on the F4, the reason why those are angled down, I guess, is because of aerodynamic instability. I didn't know that, but yeah, like
Yeah.
the F4 is fast, but it's because of those
The
engines.
only reason it flew is because I had those massive Pratt and Whitneys mounted on the ass end of it.
Yeah, weren't they J79s? I think they're J79s, and they're huge.
Yeah,
Like,
it literally was just like aerodynamics. I don't need that. I have the power to move the sun.
I was watching a documentary, and this one pilot, he said it would fly just as well sideways as it would going forward.
Yeah, you might as well just put it in a flat spin and be like, "Hey, it's still in the air."
Well, the great news is after the Vietnam era, obviously we started to develop a little bit more modern jets, the F-16, stuff like that. But really, the next generation was stealth. And what do you know about the stealth kind of era?
Well, stealth would be around the 1980s for aircraft like the F-117 Nighthawk and the B-2 Spirit Bomber, which we mentioned in a previous video.
They can find that video right here.
Excelente. Yeah, I'm pointing at it for you.
Awesome.
Marking the beginning of a shift towards high-tech invisible aircraft combat. Long-range radar, infrared sensors, active electronically scanned arrays, AESA, allowed fighters to detect and engage threats from much greater distances, reducing the likelihood of traditional dogfights. Now, I would like to point out that the F-117 was shot down by an RPG.
Yeah, and here's a side note to that. By the way, we left that there. That technology was so old that we just left it. We didn't.
Yeah, I think it was like, was that the first Gulf War?
I think so.
Something like that. But yeah, they were just
We
like, you
just
know what?
left it.
Like it's pretty much cratered. Like they can have it.
They can have it, and then that's when you get, some of these like Syrian stealth models. I can't even remember the name, but it's hilarious. It's basically based on the F5, but if you haven't seen it, it'll be on the screen. It's hilarious, but I don't know, brother. Like, I'll tell you this: when we started firing missiles above the horizon or further than the horizon, that kind of detection, that's kind of the era that we're still in, but it's getting a little bit crazier. And I don't know. What do you know about kind of what we're into now?
Well, I guess you could call it the 2000 to 2025 or the modern era that we're in. As you said, we're into precision strikes and the rise of UAVs. Realistically, so the 21st century air combat has moved beyond the dogfights of yesteryear. Advances in unmanned aerial vehicles or UAVs, stealth technology, and precision-guided munitions have reshaped the strategic role of aircraft.
Speaking of, UAVs, I'm pretty sure I know what's going on in New Jersey. So those drones that are flying at night, they're actually hunting down the cast of Jersey Shore. We've had enough. No, I don't know.
I was real worried because the new term for a UFO was really close, and I'm like, is he gonna mess it up?
Am I gonna mess it up? No.
Is it gonna be a UAP? We're not that kind of channel.
Not yet. Well, you never know. But I will say this.
I mean, we can comment on it if people want us to. I'm just saying.
Hey, we can go down the rabbit hole. We talk about everything, right?
UAV, UAP, it rhymes. It's close enough.
It's close enough. Well, when it comes to drones and stuff, right? So the scary part is the AI and what they're able to do with like different formations, and there's a whole bunch of stuff that is just almost unfathomable. So we both have friends in the defense industry, the DoD, stuff like that, and some of the stuff that they're capable of, it's out of this world, and it's absolutely terrestrial. The stuff that we're talking about anyway.
Project.
Yeah, absolutely. And that kind of brings us to the shift into network-centric warfare. Modern air combat is characterized by data sharing between various platforms. Pilots operate within a complex network of satellite data. So ground control and intelligence all combined, it allows them to engage targets without ever needing to see the enemy directly. So The network-centric warfare paradigm has dramatically reduced the reliance on visual identification and close-range dogfights.
And we have aircraft like the F-22 Raptor and the F-35 Lightning II, and they have the capability to perform precision strikes using smart bombs and air-to-ground missiles. This shift to long-range engagements has been facilitated by the widespread use of GPS-guided munitions and laser-guided bombs, which allow pilots to target and destroy enemy assets with incredible accuracy from standoff distances. So, like, all those movies where you hear people yelling, "Paint the target," and all of a sudden they got like a weird little box that's shooting a green laser. That's what they're doing. They're painting the target. They're marking the target to be. They'll basically follow that laser beam from its origin point to what it's being shot at, and then it'll use like GPS markers to like remotely point itself at it, and then take out said target that is being marked.
Crazy, dude. These UAVs have literally transformed air combat. So things like the MQ-1 Predator and the MQ-9 Reaper, which we actually did an interview with one of these operators. You can find that video here. But they were introduced by the U.S. military and had just became a central aspect to modern warfare. Whether it's performing, surveillance, reconnaissance, targeted killings, we know about the Syria thing, even, drones allow for persistent surveillance and precision strikes without putting pilots in harm's way, and their growing autonomy is pushing the boundaries of air combat.
Of drones has introduced the concept of remote combat. Modern air forces are increasingly relying on drones for long-duration missions, often far beyond enemy lines. This has led to changes in tactics where swarming drones or loitering munition tactics, where drones hover over a target for extended periods waiting to strike, have become much more common.
So modern air combat, right? It's not just about the human pilots controlling aircraft. The rise of artificial intelligence and machine learning is allowing UAVs to make tactical decisions on their own. That's the scary part. AI-powered systems are now capable of processing vast amounts of data to identify targets, plan missions, and even engage enemy assets autonomously, reducing the need for direct human intervention. The issue is we do have laws in place, and it gets really kind of ethically and morally ambiguous, we'll say, right? So is it okay to use robots to execute these missions in your mind, bro? Autonomously. We're not talking, operators now on another end. So almost a RoboCop kind of thing, with, autonomous AI. I don't know. What do you think about that? Would you like your police force to be robots like AI?
I don't know about a police force, but I could see it being used on large-scale conflict.
Do you think? Well, and if humans won't do this, but if humans, ended up saying, "Hey, I'll fight your robot army, and you can fight my robot army. Just don't hurt the real people." It'll never stay there. You know what I mean? So,
no.
It's something I actually genuinely worry about. It's kind of crazy, man. But I still haven't got my robot legs though. I'm a little upset.
Them blown out knees from them years on the street corner.
Oh man, knee pads. I should have invested in knee pads. I'm telling you, I should have. But woulda, coulda, shoulda. Speaking of, what do you think the future is for air combat? The damn boat.
Continuing, yeah, Chinese. Temu versions.
Temu.
The future of air combat will likely see even more integration between manned and unmanned platforms. Pilots may command drones from the cockpit of traditional aircraft, or future jets might operate autonomously in combat. The increasing use of hypersonic weapons, which travel faster than 5 times the speed of sound, also challenge current air defense systems and force a rethinking of air combat strategies.
Well, dude, I don't know. I know if we were going to conclude all this, right? So, the evolution of air combat, from days of thrilling dogfights to the high-tech precision strikes of modern UAVs, represents a profound shift yet again in military strategy. The early days of one-on-one engagements between biplanes have given way to the complex networked operations where technology, data, and drones are reshaping the battlefield. The future promises even greater advancements in autonomy, artificial intelligence, and even hypersonic speeds and missiles, which may make traditional dogfighting a relic of the past as warfare continues to evolve in our digital age? All I know, man, is nothing. Like,
Well, that's only because when we were wee ones and knee high to a grasshopper ourselves, the cell phone wasn't even invented. Now all of a sudden we have, computers making some kind of large scale real world decision. You're just like, wait, what happened to the box phone, man?
well, dude, at our age, right? I remember corded telephones, so
Oh, absolutely.
it's one of those things where it's like,
I remember having nothing but a home phone and having to check the answering machine every day when we got home from like school and work and whatnot.
absolutely. In fact, my mom, so she got a bag phone. You remember the car bag phones?
Yeah, I just cracked the joke, jackass. Weren't you paying attention?
Yeah. So those though, my mom got one of those, and I remember to this day, like, it was the coolest thing in the world. And actually, I turned that thing on.
Service. Like, I would give up my so-called smartphone to have a bag phone in my truck.
Well, you know what's crazy? So I don't even know the date. It had to be the late 90s. That phone was out of service for like 5 years. But whatever it was made of, I turned that thing on and you could still make calls. It had no service. You weren't paying a bill, but it was basically, I'm pretty sure, like a walkie-talkie. It was pretty cool. Like, it was definitely on a different band.
Man, like I said, those things had service everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, as long as you could get into like some kind of a semi-clear field or something like that, like where it had a decent view of the sky, your call would go through just fine.
Dude,
like,
you're talking about
up here in the UP, cell phones still don't work for the most part in most of like the really, really out there areas where I like to spend the most of my time, because to hell with the world.
Right.
And like the bag phones would work. Cell phones, hell no. They lost service 20 miles ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We'll run CBs in our trucks for shit like that just because we're so far out there. It's like, we got to have a conversation, or, let someone know there's a big freaking rock in the road coming up or something,
Oh, absolutely. Well, dude, it just takes me back to the time of my mom's 1994 Chevy Lumina that was red, and I felt like the coolest kid ever because I had a phone in the car.
Right? Like, well, we're advanced and civilized, and all of a sudden it's like I got a little brick in my pocket that has more computer processing power than what they sent the astronauts to the moon with.
Oh yeah, dude, we probably have 4 or 5 times now with these cell phones, like, and it's crazy, dude. Like, I don't know.
I'm pretty sure my phone has more RAM than the laptop that I have that I generally forget how to use.
Yeah, that is genuine. Well, buddy, I mean, it's good to be back doing this again, man. Like, first podcast back.
It's always been a couple shitheads talking about, serious shit.
Well, it's nice to come back here and do this, actually. Well, and here's the funny part. So you'll see on the YouTube side, you'll see the clean versions where everything's nice and cut up. But if you want to see the raw version of the podcast and how we kind of develop our YouTube stuff, well, you get both shots here.
All the back shots.
All the back shots. But no, seriously, man, this was fun. Like, I think we're gonna have a good time with this. So,
absolutely. And don't forget, y'all, we have Patreon where you tell us what to make. So if there's nothing there, y'all are not doing your job and telling us what to make. So get to it so we can start making some more shit. Reach out through the email, yell at us in the comments, all that other good shit.
Don't forget Xanatos Music.
Yep, 100%. Check out him. We love him. He's great. The Almighty.
He'll have we actually have another video coming out again this weekend. Zan's Weapon Depot. Be sure to check it out on the channel. It's really cool.
We'll see you next time, fuckers. Bye.
Bye.